Hello F11 members and welcome to the post-production video tutorials for issue 94, November 2019. Now on the screen here we have a picture of some horses in the mist from the very first morning of my recent Canadian trip. And as is, the picture's looking pretty dull and flat and uninspiring. However, I think there's potential there in the picture. So we're going to work through the post-production on it. So just before we go any further though, let's just talk about a couple of fundamentals here. You'll see the metadata is being displayed in the top left of the window at the moment, which quite frankly I find very irritating. I hit the wrong key on my keyboard and inadvertently, and there it is. So how to get rid of it? Well, it's quite simple actually. You just hit the I on your keyboard and it goes away. Keep pressing I and different options will appear top left, but let's go with a completely unsullied view. Okay, so first thing I want to do with this image is I think I'm going to crop it. And when I shot it, I had this in mind to make it a letterbox image, not quite panoramic, but certainly getting towards that. So first thing I'm going to do is go towards my crop box. I'm not going to use any specific preordained aspect ratio, so I unlock the crop dialog there, and then I'm just going to move my crop in to exclude the sky there, and bring it in at the bottom of the frame here too, quite a way there. So there we go, that's done. Now let's start working on the picture and what first to do. As always, it's best to stop and think and consider. It's a pretty low contrast picture here. So first thing I'm going to do is introduce some contrast. And as usual, I'm just going to look at my black and my white points to start with. So hold down the Alt key on the keyboard and move my black point to the left until the black starts clipping. And do the same with the whites, except I'm moving it to the right to make sure the brightest tone in the image is a pure white. And I can go all the way to plus 100 before I start clipping my whites. Okay, now let's just look at the image, and that's done quite a bit to improve it already. So I'm just going to come down here and look at the tone curve and just bring that tone curve back a little bit to add some density to the picture. Already I'm quite liking this picture. Looking at the color temperature of the image, it was shot in that light roundabout dawn before sunrise, so there's quite a sort of twilighty feel to the picture, which is quite appealing. I may choose to tweak the color balance of the picture a touch though. So if I look at my white balance here as shot, that was shot at daylight, set in the camera. If I go to auto in this particular case, it takes that excessive warm glow out. But actually I don't want that. But if I go back to as shot, I'd say the warmth is just a little bit over the top. So in this case, I'm going to just dial in on my color temperature here, or in fact use the slider just to pull back the color temperature a touch. Take out a few hundred degrees Kelvin. I'd say around about 4,700 is looking good to me there. Okay, the next thing I'm going to look at, now by the way, I very, very rarely adjust the colors on my images, but all rules are there to be broken. Okay, so next thing is I'm going to dial in a little bit of dehaze here, and the thing is with dehazer, it's I'm shooting in the mist. Obviously that's part of the appeal, so I don't really want to use the dehazer to take the mist back out again, but by just using a touch I can enhance the contrast in the picture. So I'm going to put in about 25 on the dehazer. 27 in fact, which is looking fine. Next thing I'm going to do, I think the central area of the image is looking pretty good, but I'm going to use a grad tool here now and just enhance the contrast in the top of the frame. So hold down my shift key, pull the grad down, and now what I want to do is just adjust the blacks and the whites actually in that area that I've selected using the grad tool. Okay, so now I can easily go over the top there. So again, being a touch subtle, and go for a softer grad there. Okay, now what I want to do is actually, looking at this area, what I've done here is that I'm altering the tops of these trees as well. So I'm just going to select up mask overlay, come here to brush, click on brush, and then come down here to click erase. And now I want to just erase away that area of the bushes there, so that what my grad tool is doing is just affecting that distant bank of trees and not these ones here in the foreground. Okay, click that off. I'd say that's okay. That's enhanced the picture. Click on done now. Now what I'm going to do is use another grad tool just to darken down that foreground, just to hold the picture in. So if I hold down my shift key and pull a grad up from the top this time, and then I'm just going to darken down on the exposure a touch there to hold the picture in at the bottom. Okay, how's the picture looking now? Generally speaking, let's have a look, see if I put in a touch more contrast using this medium contrast on the tone curve. I think that helps. It was a very, very low contrast picture to start with. And now I guess it's time to step back and look at the picture. Now there's something about the color balance that I'm just not quite comfortable about. I don't know. Now normally, I don't touch the colors in my images, and this is a Pandora's box. If you start tweaking colors, it's difficult to know where to start. But come down to a tab in the Lightroom Develop module, which is very, very rarely used, which I very, very rarely use. It's called the HSL and Color tab. Now HSL stands for Hue, Saturation and Luminance. Now what I've done here is I've clicked on all, so all those options are displayed for me. Now what I can do is in the Hue tab, I can start playing with the color balance of individual colors in the image. I can start boosting, rather, individual colors in the image. Now, I know some photographers would start doing this sort of thing, but I never ever do this, and it's just not my style. Saturation, though, is quite useful because then you can just choose to boost or reduce the saturation of individual colors in the image. And luminance can be quite useful occasionally if you want to boost the brightness of individual colors in the picture. In this particular case, I just feel the image has just got a slight magenta tinge to it. Rather than playing with the color balance, though, I'm just going to take the magenta slider and desaturate a touch. Well, around about 30, minus 30 on the magenta saturation, just to pull that back a touch. I think that's better. And let's have a look at where we started and where we finished with this picture. Quite a change, don't you think? But I'm pleased with this shot. It was certainly a great way to start the trip. Now, just to let me look at the picture in all its glory without any distractions around, if I just hit F on the keyboard, it shows me full screen. Now that's probably gone out of the video gamut I've got for displaying here, but it's displaying my full screen, not what I'm recording video, I'm trying to say. But nevertheless, that's quite useful. Another thing you can do is hit the tab key and it will show you your image at full width, which is quite useful too. Okay, so I hope that was of use and of interest, and we'll move on to working on another image in part 2 of this month's video tutorials. Thank you.